Welcome to SPR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing Week 11 in the NFL, and we're going to talk right now with Stephen O. from EventDataServices.com, who gave us an awesome pick last week on Seattle to cover over Atlanta, and he's taking the Seattle game again this week. Stephen O., thanks for being back with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, thanks so much for giving us one of your top plays last week. Why did you decide to give us one of your top plays for free?
Because I don't want to be on screen giving out losers each week. And, I looked at an analysis of my picks, and the number of times that I have lost a pick by 1 point this year is around, on spreads and totals, is up to 15. And the number of times I've won a pick by just 1 point is around 7.
Wow.
So I'm getting job by these small type picks. So if I keep coming out here giving you a slight edge here and there, just the fates have been with me. So I'm going to go with my stronger picks because, I want to maintain my reputation.
All right, well, that bodes well for the future for you. And, in the opening weeks of the NFL season this year, Stephen charges a lot of money for his premium plays at EventDataServices.com, so he wasn't giving them to us. He was giving us, like, the top plays of his non-premium selections, and, those were a little bit under 500, but you were doing very well with your actual your premium picks at EventDataServices.com, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. Well, what can I say? Thanks so much for giving us such a sharp pick last week. I mean, it just it made me feel like a freaking idiot because I was thinking Atlanta, as a home dog, might be the sharp side, but obviously that was not the case, and Seattle got an easy cover. Now you decided to take Seattle again this week, and they are an 11.5, 12, or 12.5 point home favorite. Those are all widely available. The total's 45, 45.5, or 46, and those are all widely available as well. And my first glance when I look at this game is that the line has come down a little bit from 13. So my first thought is probably the line is a little bit too much. I mean, we did see Seattle almost lose at home to Tampa Bay a couple of weeks ago. So should they really be giving that many points here? I don't know. I guess probably not in my opinion, but I'll completely defer to whatever you have to say about these lines. Stephen O.
I like Seattle win big.
Okay.
I think last week Minnesota impressed people with their comeback against Washington, being down by 13 and ultimately winning that game. But I think that Washington game has a lot. I can use a lot of that information for Seattle. I mean, Seattle can do everything that Washington did offensively in the first 35 minutes of that game, probably better now that they have Percy Harvin. And Harvin is a guy that doesn't need to have a lot of time to integrate himself in the offense. This guy is just a weapon. You can essentially do long handoffs to him, and he'll run 7 yards after the catch. So I think that Seattle can do what Washington did for 35 minutes, which is run up a big total, big score. The big thing is Minnesota won't be able to make a comeback. The Washington defense is, literally the opposite end of the spectrum versus Seattle. So Seattle, with a big lead, will be able to just unleash against Minnesota. I think that it's going to get ugly. And I think that Seattle, the other question is, will they be motivated? Maybe that's what cost them a few weeks ago with some less than impressive showings. They need to stay ahead of New Orleans. And New Orleans is playing San Francisco this weekend. I mean, I don't know. You would know better than me, but if you can imagine the NFC Championship game, Seattle playing at home versus New Orleans versus in New Orleans would be just a gigantic difference in spread. The New Orleans scores probably a full 10 points on the road less than they do at home, and Seattle's defense is a good 7 or 8 points, less at home, in terms of what they allow. So I think that they have the motivation, and I just can't see Minnesota with such a bad defense doing anything to stop Seattle. And as long as the motivation's there, Seattle should easily win by 14 or more.
All right. So it sounds to me like, based on your stats, you really think that Seattle is by far the real deal this year because, you picked them as a sizable road favorite last week. Here you are picking them as a double-digit home favorite and thinking that they should have an easy edge on this line, right?
Yeah, and they were our NFC pick for value and to get out to make the Super Bowl as well.
All right. Well, I completely 100% trust you on this one. And again, 11.5 is a widely available number right now, so we can give you that. So Stephen O. from EventDataServices.com, like in Seattle, again, this week, minus 11.5 at home over Minnesota. Thanks so much, Stephen. Talk to you again next week.